In this video, we're going to cover grouping and descendant selectors. In addition, we're going to look at the Cascade. The Cascade comes from CSS, which means Cascading Style Sheets. Grouping selectors is a way we can apply a rule to a group of selectors. In the example, I have a paragraph, a heading 1, and a heading 2 element. They all have the color blue and the font family Arial. Descendant selectors are selecting an element based upon a pattern. In the example shown, the EM element is getting the color blue applied to it, because it is the element directly to the left of the rule. However, it is not just any M element. It is an M element that is within a span that is within a paragraph element. The code below shows the structure. The pattern shown does not have to be a direct pattern, meaning other elements can be involved. In the code shown below, we have a divisional element that contains a paragraph element, that contains a strong element, that contains a span element, that contains an M element. You can see that even though I have more elements, I still have the same pattern. The paragraph contains a span, which contains the M. So the M will get the color blue in either situation. To recap, grouping selectors is a way to apply a rule to a group of selectors. Descendant selectors is a way to apply a style to one element based upon its pattern in the HTML. The Cascade is a way for a browser to figure out what to do when there is a conflict. A conflict is when we have two of the same selector with the same property but a different value. For example, I have a paragraph element that has a color blue, and later in my CSS file, I have a paragraph element that has a color green. That is a conflict. I have two paragraph elements that have the same value assigned. Which does the browser choose? In order to see how the browser figures this out, we must first look at something called specificity. Specificity is a specific weight given to an element, an ID, a class, etc. The table shows the specificity for each. You can see that they increase in multiples of 10, 1, 10, 100, 1000, etc. Now that we understand specificity, we can see how the browser deals with conflicts. If we have two elements with the same specificity, then the last one written wins. Otherwise, the one with a higher specificity will win. Another thing you need to understand is when descendant selectors are put together, their specificities add. So a descendant selector of div, p, m with some class has a specificity of 13. It breaks down like this. 3 elements, div, p, and m, all equal 3. 1 plus 1 plus 1. The m element has a class, which is 10. So it is 3 plus 10, which equals 13. In the following example, we have a conflict between the two lines of code. Which one will have the style applied to it? The answer is the first one, because it has a higher specificity. In the following example, what is the total specificity for each line of code? The answer is 5 and 3. In the first example, each element, the div, the p, the strong, the span, and the m, have a value of 1. When added up, they equal 5. In the second example, each element, the div, the p, and the m, have a value of 1. When added up, they equal 3. With grouping elements, there is no total specificity, as group selectors do not add together. That is it for this lesson.